Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I am Tom.
Hey, it's our TOEIC unit, and we've been talking about scammers and people who pull off scams on people. Could be different ways. Maybe they could call you and try to pretend that someone in your family has been kidnapped or is in trouble and they need money. Or maybe they actually are using high tech and they're using AI and they've cloned someone you love's voice. It could be a friend. Doesn't have to be family. And they're always asking for money. There's one thing in common with all scams. They're trying to take your money. So be careful with that. We're going to continue today and we're going to talk about scams that are disguised as job offers, which seems so mean and so unfair when people are just trying to get some work so they can pay their bills. They're likely, or they could be scammed if they're in the wrong place and looking at jobs that are a little too good to be true. Have you had this happen, Tom?
No, I did not know there was this kind of scam out there for job offers. In the old days, you got job offers by word of mouth from friends. If you go to this particular company, I know the boss there, there's a job available. The best way to find a job, of course, is by word of mouth. But of course, sometimes I think there's a website here in Taiwan. I can't remember some number.
104.
104, yeah, you can go there and look for jobs. And I'm sure they check to make sure those are legitimate, although I'm sure some scams get through from time to time. So you need to beware of scams that are disguised as job offers. Let's find out what this is all about. Let's listen first.
Beware of scams disguised as job offers. With online job hunting more popular than ever, scammers are taking advantage by posting fake job ads to trick people into giving away money and personal data. These scams are often found on social media or unofficial websites and typically promise high pay, flexible hours, and no experience required. Staying informed is key to protecting yourself. Red flags to watch out for. Too good to be true offers. Jobs that offer high pay for simple tasks like working from home or reading scripts with no deadlines or qualifications required. Vague job descriptions. Scam ads often lack clear responsibilities or company details. No clear pay structure. Be cautious if the salary is described in vague terms, like based on performance or high earnings depending on frequency. Unprofessional communication. Legitimate companies don't recruit solely through messaging apps or personal social media accounts. Upfront fees. You should never be asked to pay for training, equipment, or application processing. Legitimate employers cover these costs. The 165 Scam Prevention website reminds the public to be cautious when applying for jobs online. Always verify the company's identity and avoid sharing sensitive personal information unless the source is trusted and official. If you suspect a job offer may be a scam, or if you've already been targeted, contact the 165 Anti-Fraud Hotline immediately.
Okay, it's time for us to talk about the contents of today's lesson. Again, the title is Beware of Scams Disguised as Job Offers. So here, beware just means be careful, be alert, know that this is out there, be ready for this. So beware of the scams disguised as job offers. Be suspicious of job offers. Make sure that they're legitimate. And indeed, these are scams that are disguised as job offers. To disguise something means to make it look like something else. Oftentimes, of course, people wear disguises, for example, if they don't want people to know who they are. Maybe you can put on a wig or glasses or a fake mustache or something. You're disguising yourself as somebody else. And so these are scams disguised as job offers. In other words, it's a scam, but they're trying to look like they're job offers.
Yeah, it's pretty clever. I hadn't thought of this. But then I'm not a bad guy, It's amazing how some people, use all of their brain power to deceive others or to come up with ways to hurt other people or take advantage of other people. It's kind of sad, but that's our world. So you have to always be aware. Be aware of things that are going around. That's a different word than beware. Be aware of something. That's important, but to beware is just to be really careful, to be cautious, take care, to watch out for scams that are disguised or prettied up. You know, they make them look pretty as job offers, which people are looking for these days. So with online job hunting, more popular than ever, and it is. Everybody just gets on their computer and looks up and sees if they can find jobs that way. I was doing it a couple of months ago, actually, looking for positions where I could teach singing. So scammers are taking advantage of this by posting fake job ads to trick people into giving away money and personal data. They don't just want your money. They want to know the facts about you so that perhaps they can apply for bank loans in your name. There's a lot of that type of scamming in the U.S., so we try to protect our Social Security numbers. I was really shocked when I first moved to Taiwan and saw that everybody just freely gives out their ID numbers. We do not do that in America.
Yeah, that was weird. One time, of course, we bought a car a while back. I'm not saying from which company, but if you wanted to use their app on your phone to help you find your way to get from point A to B or something, you had to sign up for it, and it kept asking all these questions. And finally, when it said, we need to have your ID number, I said, no way, I'm not going to do that. I just went and found an independent traffic app which didn't ask such questions. So yeah, that would be suspicious if they're asking for all that personal information. What do they need that for? You can give it to them when they actually hire you.
Well, companies, of course, are taking our personal data and selling it. So any app that's free, you should know that you are the product. They're taking your personal, whatever you say, whatever you do. We found out that those car apps that they have where they can ask for help, say you have a flat tire and you can ask for help and there's a real person that comes online, they're listening to your conversations. So anything we have that's technology related, you need to do your homework and protect yourself. Siri in your home is listening to your conversations as well. So anything that's convenient comes at a cost. So be careful. Your personal data you should protect. So these scams are often found on social media, of course, or unofficial websites. And typically they have a way to kind of hook people or lure people in. They promise them high pay, flexible hours. You don't have to be there from 9 to 8 every day, and no experience required. That sounds pretty great. So staying informed is key to protecting yourself. I have a line group. It's my church group. We will notify each other when we see new scams that come online or that we see just to help, especially help out the elderly.
Right, so that's an example of staying informed. Be aware that these scams are going on and protect yourself and protect those around you. And here's the next section. It says, red flags to watch out for. Now, here we're not talking about red flags for certain countries in the world like Vietnam or whatever. That is a red flag indeed, but here in English, the red flag just means it's a warning sign. It may come from soccer, of course, when somebody commits a foul that's really bad or serious. The referee will not wave a red flag, but will raise a red card, and the player will be ejected from the game.
Could be a red flag if it's football.
True. I guess in American football it could be a red flag, but red flag here just means it's a warning sign. So if you see something suspicious, you may say, hey, that's a red flag. You know, this guy I dated or I met at the bar last night said he makes $1 million every month. That's a red flag. I think he's lying to me.
So, yeah, they're too good to be true offers. Too good to be true. We'll often use that, right? We'll hear about something and we'll say, yeah, that sounds too good to be true. And it usually is. So those jobs that offer a lot of pay, good salaries, or sometimes they pay per task that you do. You're usually working from home. Could be you're reading scripts. I've seen some jobs that are kind of they're asking people to write up fraudulent reviews of products and stuff, especially on Yelp. They'll say, oh, I tried that and it's great, and they never tried it. They're being paid to put those reviews up. So you got to be careful. Some of those jobs, they're just not morally right. They may not be illegal, but they're not something that people should be doing. Here's another one, vague job descriptions. If something's vague, it's really kind of unclear. Maybe someone's purposely not giving any details when you ask for them. Or they respond to your question and it's kind of vague. You have no idea what they really just said. So you have to keep asking questions to see if they'll spill the beans or let you know what's really going on. So yeah, vague job descriptions, watch out for that. Scam ads often lack clear responsibilities or company details. You should be able to go directly to the website of the company. They should be giving you a phone number that if you call it, that particular company answers. Those are just basic things that you should be looking out for.
Right. And of course, lots of people think that, well, I don't need to make phone calls or actually go to their office for an interview. It can all be done online. And of course, the job descriptions are not very clear. They're vague. And yes, indeed, they lack clear responsibilities or company details. So again, yes, I think it's the best way to be sure is to know somebody who knows about this company or that they actually have an office somewhere that looks legitimate. Here's another red flag. No clear pay structure. Okay, so that just means they're not really telling you how the payment works. Be cautious if the salary is described in vague terms, like based on performance. Yeah, what the heck does that mean? If you work hard, you get more money. Or high earnings depending on frequency. Frequency here just refers to how much you have of something. It could be a frequency of the radio signal, like 107 megahertz or something like that. That's a radio frequency, but here it just depends on frequency, like how often you do something or how many units you produce at home. And so high earnings depending on frequency is still not giving you specific information.
Yeah, frequency could be things like, the bus. The frequency of bus service for this particular line is every 10 seconds or every 10 minutes. 10 seconds would be fast. The rate at something happens, the regularity, the occurrence. So here's the next one, unprofessional communication. Aha! So legitimate or real companies don't recruit solely through messaging apps or personal social media accounts. Boy, that's true. Legitimate here just means real, it's lawful, it's honest, it's not fake, it's genuine, it's valid, it's lawful. Always check if a job offer is legitimate before applying. Yeah, don't waste your time. You should always check it out first because applying's kind of a pain. And if you recruit, it just means you're looking for people to bring them into a job or a group or even a team. Maybe you're forming a soccer team to play just for fun on the weekends and you want to recruit some players. You're, asking around to see who's interested. We had a lady whose primary job at my last company in New York was just as a recruiter. And she would go to the top universities in the U.S. and interview people and do things like that, little activities to get them interested in my company in New York City. That's a recruiter. And they're recruiting. That's the work they do.
They probably never recruited people at Hunter College or some place like that.
Oh, no, they did.
They did.
Yeah, my management consulting firm was unusual. It didn't just go to the Ivy League schools because there are really talented people who can't afford to go there or who didn't get a scholarship or, for a while there, if you were white, you couldn't even get into some of those schools. So, yeah, they would always go to state schools. Yeah. They were willing to, some of our best hires were from state schools, which are, lower in tuition.
So I guess that's advice for you. Don't waste your time going to Harvard or Yale or Princeton. Go to some state school in the U.S. You might have a better chance of getting a job. And here's another red flag here. upfront fees. Okay, upfront just means at the beginning, something you got to pay right away. And you should never be asked to pay for training equipment or application processing. Legitimate employers cover these costs. I can't remember a time when I applied for a job and they asked for money as part of the application process. Yes, you can apply for this job, but you need to pay a fee for the application process. If you see that or if you hear that, you could say, stick it where the sun don't shine. And yes, I'm not going to pay you anything. It's a scam, of course. I recognize this. I'm going to call the police. So yeah, don't pay any upfront fees. Don't pay any upfront fees. And you should never be asked for any of this stuff here, training equipment or application processing. Yes, indeed. Legitimate employers will pay those costs as they're supposed to. It's ridiculous that they would ask applications or applicants, I should say.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that they should ask applicants to pay those fees.
Yeah, it sounds pretty scummy. So
low life.
Low life, yeah. We're using all these nice words. Just be sure that what you're doing and who you're interacting with is legitimate and not someone who's trying to scam you. So it says the 165 Scam Prevention website reminds the people to be cautious when applying for jobs online. Yeah, I think more and more we're going to have to just be careful in our daily lives because everything is turning to online. You know, it used to be that you could meet people face to face and you could actually get a feeling from them, right? I'm pretty good with feeling out people, whether they're bad or good, if I meet them. So nowadays we can't. So you have to be extra careful, folks. That's the sad news. Always verify the company's identity. Make sure you know who they are. If you verify something, you check and see if it's true or if it's correct. You want to confirm something or validate their identity and avoid sharing sensitive personal information unless the source is trusted and official. Yeah, you shouldn't have to give any really personal data out on a job application. That should only happen if you're hired and you're working with perhaps a human resource department at that point.
Indeed, and this sort of reminds me that maybe this could work in reverse. You know, if a person is applying for a job at a company, they may be trying to get into the company to steal company secrets or something like that. They might be a mole or a spy, as we sometimes call them. So if you're a company looking for talent, you might be aware of these things going on as well. Maybe that's a good reason to check out the 165 website to see who's trying to scam and who isn't. And so it goes on to say here, if you suspect a job offer may be a scam, or if you've already been targeted, contact the 165 anti-fraud hotline immediately. Here, anti could be read as anti. It's okay, it just means against, or the negative here. Anti-fraud hotline. In other words, a telephone number or a website or whatever that you can contact that will try to stop fraud from happening. And yes, contact that hotline right away. There are lots of hotlines out there, a number you can call in an emergency, like if you're contemplating suicide or something, there's a number you can call to get help or whatever. So yeah, here we're talking about that anti-fraud hotline. Yeah, if you suspect suspicious activity, give them a call.
That's good advice. So yeah, there's some really great tips in here for those of you who are perhaps in the job market looking for a new job and are online checking out some of those job ads that you see placed. I know 104 is very popular. I know a lot of people who have used it. I still think, though, guys, based on my own experience and Tom's experience, if you know someone who works at a particular company, I would ask them if they're hiring and see if you can get an in with somebody who already works at the company. It's an easier way to get a job, that's for sure.
Yeah, I got this job through you as a reference.
Yep.
And of course, lots of our other jobs are always through references and things like that. I don't think I've ever answered an advertisement for any job I've had here in Taiwan, except my first English teaching job. Indeed, I checked the newspaper for that, but it did look legitimate at the time. But we can talk about that in just a couple of seconds here when we move on to our discussion questions Before we do that, however, we need to hear from our Chinese teacher. Let's listen.
听众朋友大家好，我是 Anna。我们昨天看到 Lisa 跟 John 针对一个 scam 一个 fraud 诈骗，也就是 voice cloning 这种语音复制而且是 AI generated 的这种诈骗技巧讨论一番。What a close call， 真的是千钧一发，差一点就被骗了5000块。我们今天来看一下，如果我们遇到诈骗的时候该怎么办？当然就只能报警啊。可是其实如果真的要被诈骗之前，我们可以当心一点，提醒一下。就像在这边的这个标题啊，标题一开始其实它是祈使句耶。这个 beware of something 是动词哦 ，beware 是动词，你要小心哦，注意哦。哪些诈骗呢 ？Scams disguised 一直到句尾，其实你可以左右括号一下，它其实是一个关系子句的简化，尤其是下标题的时候啊，一定要很精简到位，所以这时候常会用关系子句简化。我们省略的就是 which 或者是 that 跟 be 动词的 are。而中间 disguise 有伪装的意思，所以故意就是说呢，哎呀，你来应征工作，你先传个音档啊，应征工作嘛，那你把基本资料全部都先给我，这个时候就很小心，有时候个资就泄出去了，对不对？所以有时候啊，我们现在我可能会有网络求职，例如在第一段的第一句的地方 online job hunting， 网络求职的关系，常常直接用网络做一些资讯的传递，那这个时候有可能就会被骗。而且 scammers 他们就会骗大家交出金钱啦，或者是个资啊等等。同样在第一段第一句的地方，我们看一下比较后面的地方，有一个动词片语叫做 trick someone into doing something。注意哦 ，trick someone into doing something 这个介系词啊，是它比较经常会搭配的所以我们通常就被 trick someone into doing something，talk someone into doing something。好，那什么样的这个工作经验，我们大家会觉得好像这个应该会被应征，这个应该会成功吧？或者是说会很吸引我们这种想要找工作的人呢？例如 flexible hours， 在最后面的地方，第二句的 flexible hours high pay， 弹性工时，而且还高薪哇，这个是真的很诱人。但是到底要怎么样才能够不被骗呢？第一段第三句这边整个可以把它画起来 ，staying informed。Stay informed 的 stay 就是保持什么样的状态 ，informed 它当然是个过去分词 PP， 表示我要保持一下，我是被告知的哦，保持知情才是真正的关键。所以到底我们要注意什么我们注意什么样的警讯呢？接下来看到的 red flags， 红旗真的就有警告的意思所以这些警讯，例如第一个 too good to be true， 在英文当中你一定要知道。这个 too to 的句型就是太怎么样以至于不能，所以听起来太好了，这不可能是真的吧？好到不真实的工作机会，就像我们刚刚说的，高薪然后很简单的工作，然后弹性的工时，只要读稿啊，在家工作就可以有高薪，怎么可能？冒号之后的 jobs， 接着来的 that， 一直到双引号 scripts， 这个地方左右括号，这是限定用法的关系子句哦，这种不可能的真实的，不可能好到不可能真实，这个通常都是诈骗，这个不要管它。好，第一个警讯。第二个警讯，我们看第二个点点 vague， 很模糊的 job descriptions。工作啊，这个内容到底要做什么很模糊，然后这个责任也不太清楚，然后甚至连最后面的 company details 是什么公司在应征人，这个你都不知道，只有网络就说我们真读稿高手或类似这样子，这一定有问题。接着第三个点点 no clear pay structure， 薪资结构不太清楚。怎么样呢？因为你既然弹性工时，那到底是按小时算还是按什么算？那我今天读稿读了这个配音配的好不好，好像你球员兼裁判所以如果像这种很模糊的，或者是薪资结构也很不清楚，例如在第三个点点冒号之后的双引号 based on performance， 看你的表现怎么样，那就很有可能其实你什么钱都拿不到，甚至会被骗钱。再来第四个点点 unprofessional communication， 什么叫做不专业的沟通呢？因为通常合法的公司它不会光透过网络上去招募员工，当然我们在第四个点点可以学到一些单字，例如合法的除了 legal 之外，通常在文书当中也会用 legitimate， 还有招募员工的招募 recruit， 招募。那接着呢，最后面第五个点点 就是这个了。如果你在工作之前，他就叫你交一笔训练费用，这肯定有问题啦。这个叫做 upfront fees， 预先在工作之前就要付的一些费用。因为通常公司是不可能在录用你之前要你先交钱。所以到了最后一段，我们来到重点咯。如果你真的看到有类似这些资讯怎么办呢？你可以最后面这一段第一句，你可以上这个165诈骗网站 The 165 Scam Prevention Website。 第二句重点动词 verify， 你要查证一下。再来第三句，或者你直接打165的反诈骗专线 Anti-Fraud Hotline。 所以大家要注意哦，今天的文章真的太重要了，希望大家喜欢。我是安娜，我们下次见。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody, it's time for our discussion questions, and we've got a couple of questions here. The first one is, why do you think scammers focus on job seekers, especially online?
Well, I think a lot of people who are looking for work perhaps are feeling maybe a little desperate, depending on how long they haven't had a job. So, you know, if you're more desperate, I think you are willing to accept things that are below standard. So be careful with that. You know, it's always worth the time and the trouble to make sure things are lawful, above board, and that the company that perhaps you're applying to work for does good work. You know, even legitimate companies have practices that are a little
questionable,
a little dirty, a little bad. Yeah, I worked for Pfizer in America, and they were doing some things that were bad. So they're a very big, famous company, and I saw them doing things that I thought were completely immoral and awful. So you never know. Just go with your gut. That's my best advice for everybody. Do the homework. Make sure you find out about as much as you can about a company, and go with your gut. If you have an interview at a company and you don't like how that goes or the feeling, you get this kind of creepy feeling, ladies especially, I would get out of there.
Okay, well, here's how I would answer this question. Why do I think scammers focus on job seekers? I think it's because lots of young people are looking for jobs, and even though young people are very tech savvy, they know how to use their phones and their computers and stuff like that, they really don't have much experience in looking for jobs, so they kind of prey on you. They know you really don't know what you're doing when you're looking for a job, so they can tell you all this stuff, and they'll expect that you believe these things, and therefore it will be easy to scam you. So yeah, that's why they focus on online job seekers, because most people are looking for jobs that way instead of the old-fashioned way by talking to people face-to-face, or I guess going through 104 or whatever. Those might be more legitimate ways to look for jobs. And yes, indeed, if you've looked for a job many times, as I've done in the past, you kind of know what to look for.
So here's the second question, Tom. Which of the red flags in the article do you think is the easiest to miss, and why?
Well, for me, it was the vague job descriptions.
Me too.
Because sometimes, they don't really come out and say exactly their pay structure, you know, like if you work here for 6 months, you'll get a raise or whatever. Our starting salary is, say, 30,000 NT dollars a month or something like that, and you'll get a raise after a month. You'll have a performance review. They just don't have the time and space to list all that information in the advertisement. So yeah, of course they're going to be vague, and they don't need to be specific because I don't think a lot of people suspect them to be very specific at the beginning.
Yeah, and also, guys, if you go in for a job interview, I know it's a kind of an anxious, tense time, and you want to come off very positive. You need to ask the questions that are important. When they say they'll give you 2 weeks vacation, find out if that's after a year of employment or if they have medical leave in case you get sick. All of these they're hard questions to ask during an interview because you want them to like you, but you need to get all the information you can.
Indeed, and of course you need to have that face-to-face interview. Not just for the company so they can check you out and find out if you send them, mixed signals or something like that. But you need to check them out as well to make sure they're legitimate. I've certainly had job interviews where I thought, boy, this person is really terrible at doing a job interview. So if they hire this kind of person for this company, I don't want any part of this company at all.
Yeah, sometimes you meet them and you think, if the work is this chaotic and disorganized, maybe this would not be a good position. So keep looking. I know that the right job will find you when you work hard and you're really disciplined in finding something that's right for you.
If you're at that stage of your life, we certainly wish you the best of luck in finding that wonderful first job or that great career. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. That's all the time we have for today. Please join us again next time for another edition of our program. And remember to check out our extra content on YouTube and Facebook. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
And I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.